In today's video, we're going to talk about the cold steel Pendleton Lite hunter knife. My name's Brian, and you're watching Survival on Purpose. Hey folks, welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name's Brian, thanks for joining me. Like I said, in today's video, we're going to talk about the Pendleton Pendleton Lite Hunters by Cold Steel. And this is a low-end knife, but it was actually awarded the Field and Stream magazine. Sorry, I had to look at my notes. Field and Stream magazine 2010 Best of the Best hunting knife award. So that's a pretty good credentials. This knife was sent to me by Charley from Lucas Knife and Hobby, and Charley started a store for his nephew Lucas on eBay to help him learn about business and learn about the value of hard work and of a dollar. So I'm going to put a link below to their eBay store. I encourage you to check them out, and if you see something you like, then buy it from them. Support one of us. You know, Charley's one of us. He's one of my subscribers, and he sent me a message wanting to know if I would be willing to review some stuff for him and help his store out, and I said sure. So I encourage you to do the same. Just check him out. Like I said, I'll put a link below and see what they have to offer. He's got some pretty cool stuff and some good prices too. So without further ado, let me readjust things and we'll take a look at the specs on this knife, and then we'll see how well it works. This is, again, the Pendleton Lite Hunter by Cold Steel. And it is, once again, it was awarded Field and Stream magazine's 2010 Best of the Best hunting knife. And so it's a pretty solid little design here. The blade's 3 5/8 inches long. It is a drop point blade. The overall length is 8 1/2 inches from here to the tip of the blade. Steel is German 4116 stainless. The weight in this thing is about 2.7 ounces, and the blade thickness is about 2.5 millimeters. The handle is high impact polypropylene, and you can see it's just very smooth. And this particular one, it's got some little finger wells right here on the sides, on either side, one and the other, kind of give you a good grip if you're doing close-up work. It's got a little bit of a kind of a knob back here or whatever, so it won't slip out of your hands. A little bit of a palm swell, not a lot, and a little bit of a finger guard here. Not enough to get in the way, but enough to actually help. This really feels really good in your hand. It's pretty solid. I don't think this is a full tang knife. I mean, this thing is $13, believe it or not, $13. Can you believe that? And then the sheath, it's a Cordura nylon sheath. It slides right in and engages pretty securely. This thing's light enough where it's just not coming out. Let's see how well it does knife stuff. Okay, so this, again, here we are with the Pendleton Lite Hunter by Cold Steel. And I like the knife. I like the way it feels. It's very lightweight, but it feels good in your hand. It's very balanced. It's a drop point design, and let me just see how well this thing works as a knife. So I've got some fat wood here, my favorite things in the world, and we're just going to see if we can, let me just get that out of the way, see if we can kind of get some curls off this thing. Fat wood's a little hard to curl because it's so resiny. It doesn't really want to, it's really difficult, but this knife is razor sharp. I mean, it's just cutting through this. It's almost so sharp it's hard to get curls out of, because you really want those super thin curls. But it's just slicing this like there's no tomorrow. Great, it's absolutely great. The next step in the process for making a fire is going to be getting some heat. And any knife, as you've probably seen, that I'm going to carry, I really want it to be able to strike a ferro rod on somewhere other than the cutting edge. So I'm not real confident in this knife's ability. I don't know if you can see that, but that is just not a really sharp edge square spine. That's kind of just enough rounding on the side that I've got my doubts, but we'll just have a look and see. Got a pretty good ferro rod here. All right, so it will get some sparks, but it's not at all well, every now and then it ought to be throwing lots and lots. So the knife really needs the edge filed, the back of the spine filed just a little bit, where it'll throw those sparks better. And then I think it'd be an absolutely lot better tool. Okay, another task you're gonna need a knife for is cutting stuff, right? Cutting rope, cutting cordage. And so let's just see how well this thing cuts some pretty old paracord. Been out here in the weather for quite a while, and that's pretty good. Once again, I've got a little blood here. You can see it just as far as it just goes right through. It's really, this drop point design is just really a great design all around. It's good for skinning, for cutting up meat, for carving, for doing bushcraft tasks. One thing I like about it is the point. It's sort of a modified drop point, almost a spear point. The point is really close to in line with the center of the handle. So it just really gives you a good, if you hold it in, you know, when you got a grip, it really gives you a good, if you need to do making a fireboard or whatever, it's going to give you a really good control of the tool. Let's see how well this thing will do some. You know, I'm not going to, hardwood right there. Now, this thing's about a 3.5, almost 4-inch blade. And so you can see that if you were to try to baton something like that, it's just too big. Even something like this, that's pretty close. You might could do it. You're gonna have very little to beat on the end of it. So I'm gonna punk out on this one. Sorry, I'm just gonna be real with you. If I were in the woods on a survival situation, I wouldn't be trying to baton something like this. So, period, I'm not gonna try it. I'm gonna find something smaller. I'm gonna cut through something smaller, and I'm gonna baton that. So we can do, I will. Let's try this. Actually, I've got a pretty good piece of dead wood here. This would be more likely of what you might want to do if you're going to baton something. If you need to cut a piece of wood up, then you're going to do something more like that. And then you got to get it off. And then you got to go back and do the other way. And you can see it cut a nice chunk out of it. If you keep doing that, you can usually get through a pretty good sized piece of wood. But and cut it into smaller usable pieces that you can then use for firewood. But I think it's unreasonable to try to baton something even like this when you don't really have enough blade left over to bang on. That's a technical term, bang on it. But so there's a big push on to, you know, a big focus on batoning right now, I guess. And I believe that every knife you have should be able to withstand, you know, reasonable batoning, because if you're stuck with it in the woods, you may have to do that. But again, if you're in a survival situation, this is your one knife, then I'm gonna say it's just common sense. You're going to be very careful and not exceed the capabilities of this knife, because you're putting yourself in a bad situation if you do. So with that being said, now that we've got this piece down, if we need to split it down more, I think I feel a little more comfortable trying that. Let's see what happens. Okay, and I think this is more reasonable and more realistic of what you might actually do or have to do in a survival situation. Which is, maybe you need to get to the interior of a wetter piece of wood. And you know, it's not a nice clean break, but at the same time, you're processing this wood down, so it's going to be smaller and easier to burn. So that, in my opinion, and we know what opinions are, but in my opinion, that's a more reasonable use and more reasonable exercise in batoning with a knife of this size. I mean, face it, the reality is this is a $13 knife. So it's not, you know, you got to take it for what it is, but for 13 bucks, again, it was a Field & Stream magazine best of the best buy. Okay, well that is the Cold Steel Pendleton Lite Hunter. And as you saw, it's really, really sharp. Does not a very good job on a ferro rod striking. That needs to be ground off straight. That'd be the one thing I would say about this knife, if I had to give them my opinion on improvement, is to make that spine square. Other than that, this is a $13 knife, but it feels really, really good in your hand. It fits really good. It's got a very comfortable grip. It's lightweight, weighs hardly anything, about maybe less than a Mora. and razor sharp. It's German steel, stainless steel. It's made in Taiwan. It's a very good tool. I would give this one pretty good recommendation. If the spine was straight, I would give it a little bit higher, but for 13 bucks, I think this would be a good one to throw in your pack. Maybe get one for all your packs. And as long as you're reasonable and you're not trying to cut down a tree with it, I think it'll serve you well and last you a long time. And if you wind up being stuck in the woods when this was your only tool, you could do a lot worse. So I hope this has been helpful. Be sure and check out Lucas Knife and Hobby on eBay. Again, there will be a link below. Charlie sent me these knives to review, and I like to encourage you to support one of us. He's one of our subscribers, one of our community. It's always good to help our own out, and he's trying to teach his nephew Lucas about business. So once again, I appreciate your watching. Thanks for subscribing, for giving it the thumbs up if you like the video. Tell your friends about it if you think they will. As always, I just really appreciate everything you do, all your support. My name is Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival is not an accident, so be prepared. See you next time.